for locally made, audience-friendly, commercially successful cinema. There's a few paragraphs on Haijiao Qihao, Cape Number 7. You've probably seen the movie and know why it's so important, the massive box office and the way it shrewdly packages Taiwan elements. The film Cape Number 7 was also seen as turning the new cinema page to a new chapter. Wei Desheng, the director, was an experienced but kind of a struggling filmmaker, and felt that Taiwan cinema had reached an impasse. At least, this was the line taken by many journalists and critics tired of the new cinema excesses. Still, bear in mind that Wei Desheng had worked in the new cinema, having served as assistant director on Edward Yang's Mahjong and as associate producer and editor on the Hollywood-backed Double Vision, directed by Chen Guofu, which was a genre film, a crime thriller. Cape Number 7 is very different and touching and is a kind of breath of fresh air, without formal innovation and a real excuse for critics and audiences to vent about new cinema's perceived failings. The movie's success, Cape Number 7, was desperately needed, as though Taiwan cinema needed a transfusion. But as a referendum on new cinema, the post-Cape judgments were often harsh. The ending of Cape Number 7 shows that not even Buntu cinema can stand outside of a global matrix. Forms of compromise and calculation of diverse interests, markets, and audience segments must be in place from the outset. Buntuhua took other forms in the cinema, with popular documentaries, Gift of Life, Let It Be, The Last Rice Farmer, and Viva Tonal, The Dance Age. These are all from 2004. The Most Distant Course, from 2007, and the travelogue film Island Etude. Henceforth, Buntu cinema has been redefined and refined as Taiwan engaged with global market trajectories. Now I want to show you a clip from Island Etude, if I can make the equipment work. I'll introduce it and then hope it actually appears. It's a clip toward the end of the movie where there's an old man named Mr. Wang, and he's an ex-soldier from Tianjin and also an amateur sculptor. He settled in Taiwan, married an Aboriginal woman, and calls Taiwan his second home. And this is followed by the closing musical number of the film sung by Kimbo, the celebrated folk musician who typifies Buntuhua. This one? Okay, this needs subtitles. So, yeah, click on this. Oh, not that. There we go.
像这个东西啊，就不是人雕刻，就是原来的，就是上边这个，就是一个将军呀，原先我一个将军呀，好像我救过他，他一个屁股挨了气枪，我救下来，这就是我把它刻成了纪念品。她就是我的女儿啊，她妈妈是原住民啊。 可是我不会刻，这个面刻的老气一点。本来他很年轻啊，是伤脑筋啊，我就没办法解释，我也没有跟他讲，这个我们对于这个雕刻技术不好啊，比较老气一点了。
王伯伯最喜欢哪一个作品？
这个，
这个
这是一个是我爸爸，一个是我的妈妈。
真的啊？再拿来看一看。
可以，拿去看好了。
这个是在。
这是我妈妈，
哎，
这是我爸爸。这是母亲节的时候我做的，这是15年以前刻的，也写也上去，大概是半个月的时间，后边都消失了，没有办法。字幕会啊，
他这个画是怎么寓意？
这把是因为很怀念母亲呀，就等于送她花了，等于送母亲节，我儿子送母亲的花语，慈母，全世界只有一个母亲的。
做得很棒。
好是不好啊，不过我的意思到了就是了。我也不是专业人员，只是说心里想要创的东西，就是这样创法。
最早的一件衣裳，最早的一片呼唤，最早的一个故乡，最早的一件往事，是太平洋的风徐徐吹来，吹过我所有的全部，落成池子，光光落地的披风，丝丝若细，悠悠然的生机，吹过多少人的脸颊，才吹上了我的太平洋的风。一直在吹，最早世界的感觉，最早感觉的世界，无影婆娑，在辽阔无际的海洋，安落花动。千古的风台和平野
That's Kimball right there on the
吹
street.
上山，吹落山，吹进了美丽的山谷。太平洋的风一直在吹，最早母亲的感觉，最早的一份决心。吹动无数的孤儿船帆，引进了宁静的港湾，穿梭在美丽的海峡上，涌上延绵无穷的海岸。吹着你，吹着我，吹生命草原的歌谣。太平洋的风一直在吹，飘加的南岛的气息。那是自然尊贵而丰盛，太平洋的风 最早和平的感觉，最早感觉了和。
Yeah, the montage you see at the end, all those characters are people that the cyclist encountered when he was riding around the island. And he had various interactions with them, sometimes comic, sometimes melodramatic. But you also saw, as a bus driver, Wu Nianzhen shuttling some tourists around right there at the end. So, quick conclusion then, about 5 minutes. After the new cinema, Taiwan films have been searching for purchase. In the 1990s, new cinema became bifurcated because the films produced locally were increasingly art house, with storytelling left to Hollywood and the Hollywood-backed Ang Lee. Putting it like this is crude, but it also indicates the crucial factor, money. Financing art house specialties for export was much easier than restarting a commercial cinema that regularly drew domestic audiences. At this time, Hollywood, and to some extent Hong Kong and Japan, was allowed to supply the entertainment pipeline in Taiwan. One might ask then, does Taiwan really need a film industry? Rather than a boutique handmade cinema of exquisite craft and originality, the consensus in Taiwan's cultural bureaucracy is yes, we do need an industry, though its actions say otherwise. In the remaining time, I'll return to the idea of Bildungsroman, the process of character formation that new cinema embarked on in the 80s and follows still in fits and starts. Taiwan's film and television professionals have for years practiced their craft on the mainland. This is no secret and indicates the flexibility, resourcefulness, and creativity of Taiwan's film and cultural industries in general. Taiwan's overall shift from authoritarianism to an open society, participatory, contested, and dynamic, is remarkable, even as people grow weary of domestic politics. Historically, Taiwan people have carried their fate with resilience, but striations and scars remain: colonial, military, ethno-linguistic, class, regional, and generational polarization. Now, Taiwan is an island of diversity, democratic, peaceful, but wary and divided, while remaining the PRC's diplomatic foe. Though Taiwan politics and media is a free-for-all, it's still surprisingly free. Whoever is in charge, Taiwan's ruling party remains the butt of intense critical venom, a robust public arena, and often brutal. At present, Taiwan's film industry and film policy is again the target of competing visions, especially the perennial dilemma of popular versus elite film styles. This reprises old dichotomies between nativist and modernist, realist versus experimental versus populist cultural forms, audiences, and markets. Recall, too, that these divisions mediated ethno-linguistic communities, the mainlander, Taiwanese, Waishenren, Benshenren cultural formations that persist, with the formal usually aligned with KMT government policy. The new cinema became successful, enough to become identified with Taiwan film as an emblematic movement, if not quite a brand name. But since 2000, there have been many attempts to revive the market and cultivate popular audiences by tribe, technology, or event-based strategies. Director Wei Deshun's two-part epic, Sidik Ballet, is about an uprising against the Japanese by Aborigines in 1930. It has no aesthetic or thematic kinship to the new cinema. Here we notice the ambivalence of popular appeal when new cinema is the prevailing model and the category popular is usually ceded to Hollywood. New cinema continued its character formation through the 1990s, all the while solidifying its identification with Taiwan film, and by 2000 the cost was clear. Popularity was someone else's turf, almost a liability, and box office success something foreign to Taiwan cinema. The 1980s dichotomy between artistic and commercial continues to haunt 21st century discourse on Taiwan cinema, even as certain films find success in popular register. These exceptions represent a kind of revolt against canonical Taiwan cinema. But Buntuhua, in cultural pursuits overall, is distinguished by its acceptance and harnessing of market forces as a key component of its form. This was something that new cinema never managed or attempted. While it pledged allegiance to nativism, it also used modernist techniques that kept regular audiences at arm's length. Its strategy put new cinema on the world map, but while also getting a reputation for Taiwan films that may not have been very accurate, that is, forbidding, or entirely just, pretentious. Buntu cinema, if there is yet such a thing, is a corrective, or at the very least a counterweight to its predecessor. So the last thing I'll say now is just something that Wei Deshun, director of Cape No. 7 and Sidik Ballet, says about his films, that they are only incidentally political. He says, it's about advocating genuine appreciation of other ways of life. It's only through diversity that a culture will bloom. I don't see why a garden should be filled with flowers of just one color. Taiwan people have been forced to choose a color to side with in everyday life, which is very, very strange. He says, referring to the way individuals classify themselves as being either in the pro-KMT blue camp or in the pro-independence green lobby. So this distinction between blue and green is something I'll follow up with tonight before the screening of City of Sadness. And I hope you can all take this opportunity to watch this incredible film on the big screen. Thank you very much.
We have a few minutes. We could take some